We hope you're having a great weekend, and thanks for joining us here on Adelante Chicago. Well, for more than 50 years, Mujeres Latinas en Acción has been there to advocate for Latinas through community engagement and resources. They are a key part of making sure hundreds of women thrive. Their work has been so meaningful that it's now documented in a film. And joining us now to tell us a little bit more about it, Linda Xochitl Tortolero. She is the CEO and president of Mujeres Latinas en Acción. Always nice to see you. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, I told you just a minute ago that making a documentary film is a lot of work,
Yes.
as you have found out, but it is so important that people really see the story of Mujeres Latinas en Acción. Tell me about the film and sort of what they'll see.
Sure. So last year we turned 50, which was a great achievement for our organization, founded in 1973. And we thought that telling the story of Mujeres Latinas en Acción is not only telling the story of how a group of Latinas came together to create an organization around social justice, but it's a wonderful story to highlight Chicago's Latina population. We are really proud to be based here in Chicago. And I think oftentimes when we tell people across the country we're the longest standing Latina organization in the nation, they're like, Chicago? Well, why not New York or Florida, Texas, California, all great places, but it happened here. And so 1973 was just a wonderful time where civil rights were present in our country. The movement around women's rights was very present. And so we wanted to highlight how Mujeres took advantage of that moment, and our founders launched the organization as it is.
And you guys are such a part of so many things in the Chicago area. When we talk about domestic violence and helping women through those situations, sexual assault, you offer, training for a woman that perhaps wants to start a business. There's so much that you guys are involved in that I can see why it would take a lot of work to put a film together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. One of the times that I was talking to some of your coworkers or staff, they said to me that in the 1970s, Mujeres Latinas en Acción was seen as a radical organization, which is just blows my mind, right? Yeah.
Right. And the reason why is that is because some people thought we were splitting up families when we were really listening to what the women in our community needed, young women who were experiencing domestic violence or experiencing child abuse and wanting to make sure that they had options. And I think in that moment, coming from more traditional households where Latinos are oftentimes, family first, but we encourage women to think about their own needs and their own safety. And at that time, it was radical. And I'm afraid that it's still radical for some today.
Yeah. You should think today it should be celebrated, right? You would think.
Absolutely.
But not always the case. Okay, so I mentioned a little bit about some of the projects and resources that you have available for women. Talk me through some of the other ones, because I mentioned just a few, but there's so many more.
Sure. So we are known for supporting survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault, offering counseling and therapy. We do court advocacy. We also are a large provider of supervised visits for families that experience domestic violence. We have a Latina leadership program that we've been having since the 1990s. So we encourage women to get involved in civic engagement, to understand local politics, to champion causes that are important to them and get organized. So for us, that's very important. We have a very large Promotora de Salud model. We were very active during COVID, but we've also participated in 5 different census campaigns because it's really important that we count our families in the community because services and dollars are directed by the census. And we also do a lot around making sure that women have options with regards to building up their own business. So we start with our Survivor Financial Wellness Program and provide some financial coaching incentives to bring up their credit scores and to really establish them more financially independent from their husband or their spouse. And then we have a program of Empresarias del Futuro, Entrepreneurs of the Future, where we really work with women who have established businesses and really building up their credit, but also how do they market their business? How do they do a business pitch? And so we support them in those endeavors.
Which is so important because I was just reading a stat that said Latinas, not Latinos, but Latinas are starting businesses at a faster rate than a lot of Latinos, right?
Right. And I think it's a lot about financial independence. And I think in our community, women have so much creative energy. They are doing so much already at home. How can they fine tune their skills and build up that kind of business acumen so they can launch their own endeavors?
Okay. So if folks want to watch this film at some point, how do they access it?
So we're actually coming up with some more information about how to access and request a screening. We want to make sure that it's accessible free to schools and to businesses who are wanting to make sure that they understand kind of the Latina community here in Chicago. Chicago, but also the story of survivors and entrepreneurs that really enrich in the lives of families here in Chicago. So stay tuned for that. Follow us on Instagram and follow us on Facebook, and we will be soon showcasing that information. And the trailer will be released very soon.
Very soon. Is the idea that you tell the story of Mujeres Latinas en Acción sort of through the decades, while also telling the story of what Chicago and its Latino community has meant here?
Absolutely. So we have to provide the context of what Latinos were experiencing in the 1970s, right? There were quite a few not-for-profits serving our community that came out during that period. And so Mujeres is one of them, and we're one of the bright shining stars. But we wanted to make sure that we featured our founders. We had 4 principal founders, 3 of us who are still with us, and so they feature prominently in the story, telling us how they came up with the idea, what are the impetus at that time, what are the obstacles that they faced, and then slowly telling how we built up our programs, talking about how we started a domestic violence program, how the Latina Leadership Program. We feature a woman who's a survivor and an entrepreneur, a woman who is a leader in her own sense and helps out with citizenship campaigns. So the story is multifold, and so we wanted to make sure we capture that essence.
How many times have you watched it already?
I have watched it 4 or 5 times, and every time I cry a little bit because
it is such a great story. Yeah.
And it's such a privilege to be part of Mujeres Latinas en Acción.
Oh, I love it. Is there a favorite section that you have, or something that stunned you from the film?
I think that's a really great question. I think that when we feature the people who've come through our programs, who participated in our programs, it reminds me all the time about why we have to do this work and why social justice and community action are critical pieces of our community.
That's true, and I can see her kind of tearing up right now because I'm sitting close to her. So I know it means a lot to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your work. For folks that maybe want to know about Mujeres Latinas en Acción or want to know about maybe how to request one of these screenings, there's the information right there on your screen, mujereslatinasенaccion.org. All of it will be posted on their site. Thank you.
Thank you.